Well, good morning. It's June 11th, 2024, and it is raining outside here at Indian Lake Estates. For the last 2 weeks in May and the first week of June, we had beautiful northeast winds and clear skies, some of the best bird photography I've ever had around my home, 5 minutes down to the lake by car. So I've been watching lots of A9 III videos on YouTube, and there's all kinds of opinions. And part of the problem I have with most of the folks giving opinions is that the bird photographs they're sharing are terrible. They're tiny in the frame and huge crops, which is the last thing you want to do with the A9 III with its 120 frames per second, 24 megapixels. We'll have lots more on that on the blog and here on YouTube in the next week or two. So I'm down by the lake. It's early. I have this 600 lens with the 2x teleconverter, 1200 millimeters, on the robust tripod with a Flex Shooter Pro. I'm at a 4000 second at f8, probably was at 2500, and lowered the ISO for the white. In years when the water levels are low, you get some blackneck stilts breeding. And I did them a few years ago while I was seeded, thanks to my friend Anita North who found them. Anyway, I didn't want to sit here because I'd have to get over these grasses. They would become a worse negative in the photographs. So there's one tiny one here. We can get rid of that out of focus. Notice that I did try to pick a spot so the birds' heads were clear of this grass and this grass. I could have moved to my right another inch. I was pretty much on sun angle. 4000th f8. Here's the first picture in the series at 7:43:19, and the last picture in the series was 7:43:27. So that's 8 seconds. So a very minimum of 7 full seconds of shooting would have given us 840 images. Instead, when we go here to play the movie, I'm going to bring back all the color tagged ones, go to the beginning, and get rid of the EXIF by hitting F in Breeze Browser. And what I'm going to do now is play what I call an A9 III video. I'm going to play it at full speed. And I'm going to do it with the stopwatch on just for fun. Clock, stopwatch, and it might not be exact to the second. So I'm going to shut up and play the whole thing. Not going to take very long. And we'll see how many images we have when we're done. Yeah, it's pretty much like a movie. And that was about 27 seconds. So in playing time. And in that we did 305 images because at the end, after they finished copulating, the male stepped off. He took one step forward, and he took flight. And he took flight even farther away. I just kept shooting for fun. Now I'm going to come back and put up the EXIF again. It should all be the same except for the time. So this yellow just indicated it was the first. And there's the first red. So people are saying, oh, you don't need 125 seconds. You get all the action at 30 frames per second. Well, I say that's bull. I'll take 240 frames per second. So you'll notice here in this frame that I've tagged with red, when we enlarge, whoops, Command click, we see that the red iris is lit up in this frame. the female's head, the female's head is straight ahead and in focus inside the depth of field. But here the male's head is turned away. Look at the difference. And that one's pretty good too. We might want to give that one a number 1 and a T tagged. So then the male's head is turned away. There's another decent one. Good look at both faces. And again, my usual mistake of not putting the birds high enough in the frame. I've only been doing it for 41 years, so why change now? And the next is just pretty much normal stuff. And then he jumps up to copulate, and I keep firing. And of these two, I like this one best because the head is lower. Although this one isn't terrible. So we can keep both of those. And now I start clipping. So you're wondering, geez, why don't you go to vertical? Well, you don't want to miss the action. I actually like this. Notice here, the male's bill tip is touching her head. Here there's a little separation, so this may make a nice square crop. Kept a couple of them in there. And now I think soon, so what do? Watch this. So I should be switching to vertical. I'm sorry, I should be pointing the camera down or switching to vertical. So I finally, this is 7:43:22. This is 7. So it took me less than 1 second to go from vertical to horizontal. That comes with experience. And I love this one. And these are, notice how this one, I'm going to tag that. They both have the maximum of this far wing showing. Actually, this one's better. But then the male's far wing gets hidden. Now it comes out again. So these are all really sweet shots. You know, I'm deleting hundreds of these, and a lot of people will be thrilled to have one. But that's the story with digital. So when I'm editing, I'll be editing this quickly. Now this whole sequence, the female first turned her head towards us. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. And then she turns her head away, and then back. So I kept this one. I could have kept this one. And this will clean up beautifully. I can lose this one if I want. Clean up this mess here a little. And back to fast. Now I head away. I kept this one. This is actually better. So I'm going to tag that. And here I kept that, but her head is turned too far away. So I'll untag that and give it a 0. And now we can rip through it. This is the speed I go when I'm editing. And notice the male has lowered his body. He's going to do the cloacal kiss now. And unfortunately, the female is turned away. But with the male's legs bent like that, and that's the moment of the cloacal kiss, this is the male's tail, I can live with the female turned slightly away. And I love these with his wings back. So I kept a few of these, really, really good. And if you have one where it's clear, you could even make a photo illustration and replace the female's head. I doubt if I'll do that. And now we're getting up near the end, and I was firing away, and then finally the male takes off, and I take a distant shot of him flying over the pier. So if we go show tagged, then we'll have all my keepers, and we'll see that I kept 28 of the copulating images, or more properly, this is called the pre-copulatory stand where they practice. But if we go back to show all, we see that we made 305 pictures when we could have made 840. So that shows you that, number one, you will hit the buffer. with the A9 III when you're shooting at 120 frames per second. And secondly, I was a little bit selective. Sometimes I might lose focus and have to start again. But still, had I pressed the shutter button down and held it, I could have made 840 images at least instead of 305. So you could see that these little differences from 1/100th of a second to the next can make a huge difference. We saw that with these here, where the head is beautiful, and yet in the other frames they suck. And in this one, the eye of the male is actually a little sharper. So I'm going to untag this with the color so that I can work on this one. Anyway, there'll be lots more on the A9 III here and in the blog. If you've made it this far, you probably know that post notifications stopped sending when I updated WordPress, so nobody goes to the blog. But if you want to learn a ton, visit every other day. And think about joining me on Long Island. Look at the IPT page. Let's see if we go here and we go to the last blog post. You can come to the top. You can check out the used gear here and Birds' Art IPTs here. And you'll see that I have a bunch of stuff on Long Island and a little bit of room left on Homer. Anyway, you have a great day. Go out and make some great pictures and choose to have fun. Love you. Bye-bye.